Ryan Koh, a principal at Iconiq, investing out of its venture and growth fund. Ryan has emerged as one of Iconiq's own rising stars. He joined the firm as an associate in 2020 and has climbed the ranks. He now spearheads some of the firm's key deals and early stage investments as a principal. And real quick, for everyone who is joining us live, if you have questions for Ryan, feel free to drop them in the chat and we'll try to answer them. Ryan, thanks for being here and congrats for making this year's list.
It's an honor to be on the list and thank you for having me here.
Yeah, so you have maybe a more traditional on-ramp coming from investment banking. What prompted you to move over to the dark side and become a venture capitalist?
So I have to admit, I didn't really know about venture until I even joined investment banking. I think I was closer probably to technology, just given I went to Berkeley, and as a student you see Ubers before maybe everyone else. You see these robots attempting to deliver food, but nothing really about venture until I got really lucky where I think 2 months into my job as an analyst in banking, I saw a process, end to end, where I saw the sale of Duo Security to Cisco. And what was really inspiring there was I got to attend a closing dinner. The bankers, lawyers, the team attend, but also saw the camaraderie and the relationship that these board members who were VCs had with the founder and CEO, Doug. And I think that was the moment I realized, hey, this is the part I want to contribute to and something I want to do long term. And so I think that was probably my aha moment where I was like 2 months into the role.
You see that like the brotherhood among the founders and the investors around the table. So, Ben and I have talked a lot this year about how funding is flowing back to companies again, and the founders of the most promising companies aren't really hurting for term sheets. They might have investors knocking at their door. You really need to have like a right to win allocation in these deals. So if you want to be, at the end game, sitting next to the founder at the closing dinner, like how do you think about winning over the founder and getting them to accept your check?
Yeah, I think it's almost two things. One, in terms of the personal relationship building that you want to do with the founder, but also proving that, hey, for example, how can Iconiq really materially help you as a business, unlike any others? And I think a good example of that is probably our investment in StatSig, which was early last year in 2025. And interestingly enough, we met Vijay, the founder, in 2022, and the 2.5 years until we invested, we flew up to Seattle maybe, I don't know, like 10, 12 times in their offices, 3 different offices, by the way, attending their stand-ups and also eating lunch with the team. So almost felt like we're already part of StatSig.
Yeah.
I think by the time we were investing, and I think that's probably really important to deliver on in terms of both personal relationships and, of course, on the way, showing how Iconiq can really help in terms of different introductions to potential customers and companies, but also helping them with hiring efforts as well.
They just couldn't shake you. You were like, we're sticking
We were
around.
adamant.
Yeah. StatSig, of course, gave you a great exit last year. The company sold to OpenAI for $1.1 billion. Now, another thing I think you've become known for within the Iconiq family is really pushing the firm to invest earlier in the company life cycle. Iconiq's MO has been to invest mostly in these companies that are a bit further along, that have wrung out some of the risk, and a firm like Iconiq swoops in with these big rounds and they continue to follow on in subsequent fundings. When you think about, oh my gosh, I just lost my train of thought.
So great. Yeah.
When you think about
Early stage investing,
what is the opportunity you see there? Thank you for
of
bailing
course.
me out.
No, it's an exciting one because I think for Iconiq, we were kind of proving ourselves that we can do growth investing really well. And I think really kudos to the team in terms of the companies that we led investments in. I think it's been amazing. And I think we'll also see a lot of amazing founders that are coming out from our portfolio companies that really got us thinking, hey, how do we continue investing in the best next generation of founders across any stage? And as we were going even earlier in the growth cycle, a lot of founders were also coming to us, hey, the kind of help that you're aiding with, it could have been even more monumental a year or 2 years ago. And so that really helped us think, hey, how can we support founders literally from inception to pre-IPO? And so I think our MO is now, how do you back the few exceptional founders across any stage of a company?
Yes.
And so since last year, we've been really focusing on that and been leading the deals there.
My sense is that this kind of AI era we're in is also compressing some of the
Yeah.
timelines. What's been that impact?
Yeah, it's interesting because now we're even talking to some seed stage companies that are seeing commercialization that maybe we might see in a Series B company 4 or 5 years ago. And so I think they're also appreciating that, hey, as we think about this strong product market fit and maybe initial go-to-market fit, how do I find an investor that can help me with all those aspects instead of what a typical maybe seed or Series A looked like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yes.
And so I think that's where we're also able to really lean in strongly.
Yeah. Also at Iconiq, you help oversee the recruiting of first-year associates. I'm sure by now they look to you as a kind of mentor. What have you noticed about the ones really, making their mark on Iconiq?
Yeah, I think I can probably speak to Iconiq, but also everyone else that I'm sure you walked through on the list as well. And I think everyone has a unique strength, and probably the most common thread is just agency in terms of how you show up in a meeting, how you deliver for founders afterwards and after you invest, how some even, people who are not even VC show up with that urgency and want of the job and the role.
Yeah.
And so I think probably that's the one common thread that I see across any investors that are at Iconiq or other firms.
Yeah, I love that. Curious, I don't know if you're like poring over resumes, but do you see more applicants these days have a technical expertise or more operating experience as opposed to that kind of investment banking on-ramp?
Yeah, I think we're seeing that more and more, and my guess would be that we see that even more in the future. I think about the cohort of VCs that did exceptionally well 10, 15 years ago, and even now, where they come from operating roles at companies like Facebook, Dropbox, and I think now there's so much talent density in these frontier labs that in 2-3 years, I have to imagine that there'd be amazing people that come out of that and invest in their best engineering friends or product leaders that become the next great companies of tomorrow.
We're seeing so much, NBA superstar talent coalescing in these big AI labs. So I guess it's only a matter of time before we see the OpenAI mafia-led VC fund, and I guess tune in for Rising Stars 2028 for those names. Ryan, thank you so much for joining us.